Good morning, everyone. Welcome back for a little mobility. Yep. Did someone say something? Good morning. Sweet. Well, we got some fun mobility today. Some challenging moves, some new things, different than what we did last week. We didn't have a lot of people last week, and we also had some technical difficulties. So today is going to be much more fun and exciting. So, as always, I'm going to show you, we're going to start with the most basic kind of safest way to start mobilizing these movements, and then as we start exploring them, I'm going to be doing things that are a little bit more advanced and exploratory for me. So that'll just be kind of giving you guys ideas, and I'll be telling you guys certain ways that we can reach and twist and feel these movements today. But it's important to really stick within your means and to do what feels comfortable for you. So when it comes to stretching, you want to make sure you're doing just something that is slightly uncomfortable, right? On a scale of 0 to 10, you want to take it to maybe a 4 or 5, or a 5 or 6 maybe in terms of your stretch. So what we're trying to do here is gain greater range of motion through our joints. And so it's important to make sure we're doing that in a pain-free environment, because we need to reteach our body that everything is okay at these new points of motion, in these new ranges. And so if you're gritting your teeth and you're really wincing and you're holding your breath as you're going through these stretches, you're kind of signaling to your body that this is not okay and this is painful, and then your body's going to remember that. Pain is a very strong signal to the mind, and we remember pain more than we remember comfortable feelings. So try to stay out of a pain point, try to stay into the realm of just mild discomfort, and that should be good. So stick with the variation that works for you. We're going to be doing some interesting variations today. So just get ready, get loose, and let's jump right in. So we're going to go from a floor all the way to standing today. So let's start down on our stomachs. We're going to go for a 2-part move. So the first part is just coming up into a back extension or a cobra type move. And so what I want you to do is to think about not just using your arms and cranking yourself up as hard and high as you can go, but to activate our back muscles and do most of the lifting with our back muscles. So we're going to keep our chin neutral, and then we're going to just extend up using our back muscles, and then put your elbows just underneath your shoulders, and then you can give a little 10% activation there. Just a little bit of a push. And really feel that lengthening of the spine. My sternum is lifting and spreading up towards the ceiling or the sky. You can get a little raised chin here too. Nice. And then we're going to come back down. So this is warming up our thoracic spine. And now the next move, we're going to extend our arms out with our thumbs up. And we're going to actively lift without our arms. So now we're going to reach up, long fingertips, and we're going to bring our arms all the way back, right about the halfway point. I'm going from thumbs up to palms neutral, and then palms up at the end. So we're coming all the way down, all the way up. If this is painful or difficult to hold your chest off the ground, you can do this with your head on the ground as well. So now we're just going to go back and forth. So give me 1 rep of the thumbs up. This is called like a swimmer here. And then give me 1 rep of our back extension, and then using our elbows. And we're just going to go back and forth. And we can start adding in these little micro movements. looking behind us, kind of flexing laterally at the spine. Back down. And then we're going to lift and warm our shoulders up. So push the back of your palms up to the sky as you come back around. Then palms up when your hands are at your hips. And back through. Full motion. As you get loose, you can come up onto your hands. As long as you're not forcing it. You want this to feel like a gentle stretch. You want to be looking one direction. You can even pull a leg out. This is just another way to feel a little mobility here, down into the hip. Now you go at your own pace. Remember, the key to doing this today is to kind of let your body lead you. Connect with it. So watch what I'm doing for some inspiration and some ideas, and then give it a shot. But this is your time, so it's not like a strict yoga routine. We're moving through and giving our body the attention it needs where it's telling us it needs it. Do some reaches across. Start syncing your breath with this motion. That's why I like doing movement as opposed to just static stretching here. Let's go for about one more. And good. So that was working thoracic extension, the ability for our upper spine to bend and loosen up. So now we're going to work on some thoracic and hip rotation. So we can just start, you can even put your hands on the ground and just put your head here. You can put your arms out to the side, and we're going to work the bottom half. So we're going to bring a leg up and over, and then we're going to touch it down. You'll probably feel a little clunkiness, a little popping at the back. That's good. Exhale. Gravity is your friend here. So kind of get to that point of tension. Take an inhale. Exhale, and gravity will help that muscle relax. Now we can start thinking about being a little more active with our feet down. So think of giving me a good reach. So really reach your toes, spread your toes. I'm getting some popping and cracking in a good way. Now with your arms that are just straight out to the side, we're going to move them 45 degrees up. We've done this in our upper body days. This is one of our stretches that we do. We'll just do it a little bit more mobilizing. So now what I want you to think about is we're going to bring in the chest, the shoulder, and that bicep tendon. So one arm stays planted to the floor. We're going to reach back just like we would normally. And then think about you're slowly peeling your body up off the floor, but you're leaving that far chest, shoulder, and bicep on the ground. And so we're creating a lot of distance here. So you can turn your head away. You can add a little pressure through the floor. And this is just opening our chest, pulling our shoulder blade back. And then alternate. So back to that kind of 45-degree position. Bring it over. And peel your body up, stopping at the chest. Almost like as if one half of your chest is glued to the floor, and that shoulder and that bicep are glued to the floor. Turn your head away from it. Good. Now, a little more advanced, we can add a reach. So as you come up, this is real thoracic extension, thoracic rotation. Puts a lot more emphasis on that bicep stretch. And just go back. Give me a couple more. This is going a little bit less into the spine and a little bit more in that chest and shoulder and our upper thoracic spine for sure. Anytime we're doing like a tall reach like this, you might find that inhaling into that reach gives you a little bit more tension, a little bit more range of motion. And good. Now, let's bring one arm all the way up, or we can really do both arms all the way up. And we're going to come all the way across into a full roll. So we're going to reach across and just think of one segment at a time. 1 inch along your spine is rolling, rolling, rolling until the last thing to turn are our fingertips. So we're going to come up, over, real slow. Slide that top hand along in a big circle. And now we're here. And then we're going to go back the other way. So we're going to reach across, one segment at a time. Hips first. Each vertebra starts rotating over and over. Our fingertip stays long and we make a big circle across. And then we're going to go with the other foot. Big sweeping circle to help us get over. And back through. Just go back and forth for a couple. We've talked about this before, but this is one of those developmental rolling patterns. So one of the first things the human learns to do is to roll over like this. And so this is a good time to check in, because you used to be able to do this when you were a baby. And whether we're stiff or we get injured, or our core isn't quite functioning well, that can all hinder this ability. So one of the first steps, just like how a baby learns to move, we start back here and we regain our ability to roll side to side. Good. Now I want you to give me one more roll over, so we're going to go onto our back. And we'll just hit a couple from the front. So this is going to get a little bit of core activation going, but it's also going to give us a little more action from the legs too. So I want you to think of really long reaches here. So get wide, give yourself a base of support. You can also go on your elbows. We're just going to come across and really point your toe. This is a good one to exhale as you reach. And try to find all different heights and distances to reach. You might be able to reach all the way up to your shoulder height. spine nice and mobile for what we're going to be doing. Got a lot of twisting today, because we almost get none of that in our daily lives, unless we're looking back behind us in the rear view. All right, let's get up to seated. And I'm going to take you through just a brief kind of warm-up period, and then we'll add a little motion to this. So we're going to start with our bent sit that we did last month. So about shoulder width apart with our feet. We want to feel like our toes can be down onto the ground. And then we're just going to start warming up our low back and mobilizing our hips here. So grab your knees and lift your chest up to the sky and rock up onto your sit bones, the pointy parts of your hips. Just really spread your chest, lift that sternum tall, and then kind of relax out of it. Inhale as you lift your chest. And good. Now, so this is our bent sit, which is a rest position. Now we're going to go into a half long sit. That means one leg's just in here, the other leg's out straight, toes pointed up. And we're just going to mobilize this position. So I want you to kind of face your torso at your feet, and we're just going to lean forward. I don't care if you grab your knee anywhere along your shin, or if you can make it to your toes, that's awesome. When you find your point of tension, I want you to take a big inhale through your belly. Hold it. And then exhale. Give me a couple breath cycles like that. So inhale, air all the way to your abdomen. Feel that tension. Feel that oxygen adding to the stretch. And then exhale and feel your body relax, and you gain a little bit more range of motion. Oh yeah, good. Other side. This is our half long position. When you're holding your breath after that inhale, almost visualize and feel like all that oxygen you're sending to the tight part of your muscle. Good. Now we're going to go with a full long sit. So both feet are together. Toes are up. Same deal. Give me about 3 breath cycles here. As you hold your breath, send the oxygen to the tension. Give me one more. Great. So now we're going to bring back in our rocking pattern. So if you've been doing this with me before, you should be familiar with the rock. We want to make sure that we have a rounded back and we just let gravity do the work. So we lean back and go into a good wheel-like movement. A lot of you may have a flat tire point of your low back. If you feel like there's a point where it's not wheel-like and it starts getting flat, or you're slamming your low back into the ground, I would stay away from the rocking for now, or at least cut back on it a little bit. And what you can do is just do all the reaches without that. So we have bent sit, we can reach, we have half long with a reach, we have full long with a reach, and then we're going to do butterfly as well. So as we rock, think of this as a slightly two-part move. So we're gonna rock back, and then we're gonna come up into a bent sit. And we can reach all different directions, forward, up, diagonal, one arm, two arm. Then we're gonna rock back, and we're gonna rock up and into our long sit, or our half long sit. And we're gonna get a good stretch here. Then we're gonna rock back, and we can go into our full, and then we're gonna rock back, and then we're gonna go into our butterfly. And you can even do a cross leg pose as well. So I just want you to work through these moves kind of randomly. Just let your body guide you. And we'll just spend about a minute or two here. All right, now that we're really loosened up, we're gonna add the motion, add the activity to it. So, let's knock it out. Rock. And kind of when you're in that backwards rock, your body will tell you the position it wants to go into. We have our half long sits. We have our butterfly, and feel free to stop in those positions. Let your body guide you. Full long sit. And by rounding our back, rolling on our back, we're mobilizing that tissue. Just like a foam roller. And because we're adding the momentum of the rock, we're getting a little bit of an extra stretch, right? So our inertia is going into that stretch. So it's important to kind of give yourself, if you need it, just a little split second to stop that momentum and then go into the stretch. And a little bit more. How can you vary it? You don't have to reach straight forward. Our body is all connected from our toes all the way up to the top of our head. We have a glove of fascial tissue that connects us. And so every minor change at the lower body is going to change that stretch up through the upper body. And good. All right. Now we're going to go into a V-sit. So we're just going to walk our legs out here. And just give me a couple seconds of just feeling this action. So just going side to side, loosening up. Every position here should feel different through your hips, through your legs. We'll get a little more adductor here. We can try to come over top into a low back stretch. So think of just like a windshield wiper coming over tall. Couple more. Good. Now for our main move here. We're going to think about internally rotating one leg, externally rotating the other leg, and staying straight. So I want you to support yourself from behind, and then we're just going to start slowly twisting. So start with the upper body. We're going to slowly twist. Our knees are going to lay down, stay straight, and then we're just going to reach across. This is a good one to exhale as you go into that twist. So we're working that internal rotation of the hip, but in a position we really haven't done before, which is with that straight knee. Now play around with coming down onto your elbow. What happens if you reach high? What happens if you reach up and away? I like to have, not always, but you can play around with, where your fingertips are reaching. Try to follow it with your eyes. That's always going to get the neck involved, hopefully in a good way, in a mobilizing way. And then we can, as we come across, down onto our elbow, we can reach through. And this gives us great thoracic mobility here. Just feel your shoulder blades spread apart. Now, final little exploration here. Let's reach around, and then we can come down all the way around through our back and up, and then back up and the other way. So come around, that internal rotation, all the way up and around. So start that movement just the same, reaching up, reaching across, the legs internally rotate. We're going to draw a big circle with our fingertips, letting ourselves come down to the ground and across. And great. All right. So now let's move into our side sit position. So that means our front leg is externally rotated, our back leg is internally rotated, and let's just begin with just doing our normal kind of reaches and mobilizations here. So we can come forward and reach, we can twist back and reach, and then we can swivel across. So let's just go side to side and just get comfortable with this move for a couple reps. We're using this very dynamically in our lower body day. So we have our side sit get-ups. We've done our rocking, our rock to side sit. Good. Now, you might want to, for these, you might want to pull your back leg in a little bit more, because we're going to push through and just extend and reach. So you can keep a support arm behind you, and we're really pushing our hips forward and trying to make a big bow between our knee, up through the hip, up through the spine, and all the way back through that fingertip. Plant your hand strong into the floor. Shoulder is stable. Good, and alternate. So pull that back leg in if you need to. You shouldn't feel this in your knees. You do want to feel it right there in that top hip flexor. Now let's find some different ways to reach. So we can come up and we can reach across. We can reach back towards that back leg, so the hip extends up, we're keeping tension, and then we're driving over. and we can reach in a big arc away, so making one big line from that knee all the way up. Eyes can follow the fingertips. Good. All right. Well done. So now let's transition just onto all fours. And for a couple seconds here, let's just go with a nice cat-cow. Today is really all about spinal movement. So you have up and down, get your head involved. As you push away, you're going to just let that head hang. Just spread your shoulder blades. As you drop your chest, you're going to lift your chin up to the sky, palms heavy in the floor. And then we can do some big circles too. And now, let's add some reaches. So we can reach forward and kind of think about a long body here. So as my fingertips are coming forward, I'm kind of pulling back with my hips. If you keep your thumb up and you reach diagonally, you can get a great lat stretch. Just kind of work in between these. We can go straight across and under. Exhale into them. And then we can come out, up, and over. So out, up, all the way down. That's our thoracic rotation. And we started simple with all this stuff, and now we're building more and more integrated, more and more advanced. But with each level, we're kind of unlocking a little bit more movement potential. Give me a little freestyle combo, right? So I can reach 45 across. Then I can drive up and around. And then I can go straight from that back into a directly across stretch there. I feel this in my hip too. The more you reach that way, the deeper you'll feel it in your hip. And good. All right. So now, this next one, we're going to be doing the next couple in this all fours position. And we practiced during, I think it was our lower body day, our kick throughs here. We're going to do this as more of mobility today. So I want you to just start on all fours. And then you're going to bring one leg through. And then just kind of drop that hip. Here. This can be a little advanced. So you are more than able, if you have the back of the couch or something, hopefully I'm in the shot here, you can just reach across and then lean into that crossed hip. There, and the other side. So the all fours position is probably going to be the most mobility required. Elevating it in any way is helpful. And really it's not like any different. You can get a whole different stretch. It's not better or worse, I mean. So here, reach across and sit. And it gets easier to get into the position if you do lift your knee off the ground. And this is working that oblique and that quadratus lumborum, our QL, which is an easy one to get tight. Nice. Drop that hip, long bow-like body from your heel all the way up. Oh, and you can intensify that by reaching in to that twist. Good. Now let's do the little movement variation. So instead of stretching, we're going to come all the way through. So you're going to be up on your knees. You're going to kick under, land here, solid palm through, our shoulders away from our ears, and then we're going to extend up, and we're going to reach. And then we're going to come back to that bear crawl position. We're going to swoop under, drive through our hip, push our palm heavy into the floor, and extend. And come back. Now when we reach, we can come all the way up and over. Push that hip to the sky. Let's go one more each. Play around with some reaches. And good, back to all fours. Now, we went under with our leg, so we're going to go over with our leg next. So on all fours. Your knees can stay on the ground. We're going to lift one leg up, and then inch by inch, vertebra by vertebra, we're just going to lean it back. And let's just start with this. We're just opening up, leaning back. Now just to turn our glutes on, get our hips feeling real loose, we're just going to go for some circles here. So on all fours, we're just going to kick our legs straight back. We're going to try to bring our leg up and over as if there was a gate that we're trying to reach our leg over. And then back down. You might feel a little clunky in your hip here, where like there's some points that are catching. And that's okay. The more you do it, the more this will alleviate. Maybe not in one session, but over time. Let's go the other direction. It is really humid out here today. And this is turning our hip on, so you might feel like your glutes burning a little bit. And that stabilizing leg on the other side might be burning a little bit. Good, other side. Other direction. So that was our all fours position. Now we're moving into a low kneel or a tall kneel. And the first move we're going to do here, so notice how my feet are curled back. So this is an awesome stretch through our plantar fascia, the bottoms of our feet. Just kind of mobilizing our toes here, and we can rock side to side. And then you can slowly walk back, and that's going to get our quads and open our quads up. And just stick with that. Give me a little rock side to side. Feel your toes opening up. Feel your feet and ankles opening up. Quads stretching. Squeeze those glutes a little bit. Add a little more tension onto it. Oh yeah. And then we're going to come forward, step forward, and we're going to take it low into a deep lunge here with an adductor groin stretch. Here, just on your hands. Think about pushing your hips forward, driving your hips in, keeping the chest tall, and then other side. Sit back, drive through. You might find one side's a little tighter than the other. And then when you're ready, we're going to come back to our sit backs. And this time, as you start loosening up, so as we go back and forth between these, you can add a little bit more of a hip lift as those quads loosen up. Get some space. And this should come from your glutes and your hips and not your low back, right? So see how I have a little crease in my hip here, and as I extend up, this is straightening out. If that stays bent and I'm coming up here, then it's just my lower back that's bending. Drive through and then step out. And now as we step out, we can even go down and deep, down onto an elbow. And we can reach all different angles and directions. Even a reach in here when we're back. Either tall, across, all the way up and back. Open those hips. Here we can reach out and go low and then come up high, and just feel how that changes your stretch, changes that tension. Make a big V. Come up and out one way, down, up and out the other way. Now just to hit a little bit of our straight leg adductor here. This is one I've been really enjoying and needing. So for a lot of times when we sit, our knee is always in this bent position, 90 degrees, or if you sit cross-legged, it's even steeper. And so we're adding a lot of tension and stress and tightness to these inner adductor muscles. So I want you to sit tall, bring your leg out to the side, and right now my toe is lying flat. So you can just practice here, just lying flat and then kind of leaning away with your hip, and you're going to feel that tension just turn on right through there. And then if you are able, some of you might not be able to, keep everything else straight and turn your toe up to the ceiling. And then we can pump the brakes a little bit. And you can find any variation here. But as you lean into it, you're going to feel that muscle come all the way down along your knee joint. You can add a little hand pressure and start leaning towards it. And we're just working out that long adductor, offsetting all that bent knee sitting that we do. kind of sitting back onto your heel will create a little bit of length there too. Reaching towards that straight toe. Flexing and extending that foot and ankle. Going up tall, toes to the sky, and going down, toes to the floor, other side. I think Eva's melting away.
Yeah.
Summer's definitely here. There's that Georgia humidity. All right.
It's 10:48, by the way.
Cool. We're going to finish up in just a couple minutes. Thanks for staying over, guys. I got one more move for you after this. I think we've done plenty. Try to get that tension from that inner hip all the way down. It'll go past your knee joint, and this should feel therapeutic and not painful. This is another good one to do against a couch if you need to, or any elevated surface, even a wall. Good. Relax. All right, the last thing. Let's go into a tall kneeling position. And we'll just hit some shoulder mobilization here. So I want you to keep your arms bent about 90 degrees. We're going to come forward, hands come together. We're going to lift all the way up tall, and then we're going to spread our elbows apart, and at the very last minute, just peel our hands apart, and then we're going to come down. So really be active with those back muscles, all the muscles we've been working during our upper body sessions. Inhale as your arms come up and overhead. Exhale as you spread and pull the back of your hands and your elbows way behind you. Spread the chest. This one feels good, doesn't it? When we release here, up at the top, peel your hands away and then point your thumbs directly behind you. Give me a couple little ups and downs here. Good. And now, just for some side bends. You don't have to touch the ground, even if you're just staying here and moving across. You can lean with a bent arm or with a straight arm and just bow that hip. And nice. Relax. Go ahead and stand up and check in. So take things slowly. We just did a shit ton of work on our spines, on our hips, probably many, many moves we haven't done before. So now, what that does when you stretch a muscle like that and you achieve that new range of motion, it's good, but your body's not used to it. And so there's a brief period afterwards where your body might freak out and go, wait, I'm not used to being able to twist this much. And so you might get some sort of little cramp or spasm or something like that. So it's important after these very complex moves to just kind of check in. So just kind of squeeze your muscles back, tighten your abs, do a little side to side. Let's do some big kind of just global movements, reaching and twisting, just to make sure, nice and slow, connecting with the body, squatting down. Anything you're planning on doing today, do a couple extra moves just make sure, does everything feel integrated and correct? If I'm bending over to pick something up, is my back flat? Can I reach and twist in interesting or awkward ways and not feel tense? Yeah, and you guys should feel freaking good. Sweet. All right. Thank you all for joining. I think I lost like a liter of sweat there. I hope you had a good time. I hope you feel loose. Leave me any comments. We've got Tuesday, lower body, Thursday, upper body, and then we'll hit this again on Sunday. And as we go throughout the month, you guys are going to feel great. So thank you very much. Have a good, yep. What do you got for me? Yeah, great. You can do, so to isolate it, you can get tall, hinge, and by hinging back, we're kind of locking the low back in place. So then from here, we can do just kind of like our pull the bow exercise, right? So you can reach up in here, and you can even pin your bottom arm down with a knee. And you should feel, after what we just did, this should feel really nice and easy. So here, and here, and then you can do some kind of just moving across, and that is all thoracic spine. So you can see my lumbar spine is stuck in that hinge, and so it's just that upper spine that's moving. So that's going to be good. But with disc golf, I'm not quite familiar with what the form would be, but because it's a full body movement, you do want to get some of the hips in. So that could be something like in a split stance, just doing some of our moves here and back this way. And if you don't have a problem kneeling, right, all that kind of up and back, that's all T-spine. And because your hips are involved here, it would be good to give it a little motion. But just some simple twists like that. That'll do it. Yeah. Yes, totally. And yeah, I think that would probably work well. And especially if you're standing, you're getting some core activation in. But you could even do, I don't know, like holding your disc or something, and just start working. Like if you get a thoracic rotation, just go maybe 30% power. Like down and up, or do some chops, or something like, and just start going a little bit quicker and a little bit more powerfully, and that's going to actually warm the core up and integrate it as well. So you're doing the right idea with all your shoulder warming up and your thoracic twisting, and then adding in that kind of integration, and that power is going to be that final piece, and you're going to crush your opponents. So, good work. Good questions. Really great question. Thank you.